Never done TV.
Go.
Welcome to Slightly Uncomfortable. James just royally fucked up that open, but this is going to be the 25th episode.
25?
25 times we've sat down here and talked about shit and drank booze.
Who would have thought?
I know, right?
All right, so this episode is unique.
Oh, it's raw. Oh, it's going to be unique.
Tell them what it is.
This is the very first time that James, myself, and Alex
Ever sat down in front of a microphone?
Right. We did this up in James's dining room with effectively a cassette recorder.
That was pretty much it.
It was pretty much it.
There's you hear an ice maker.
You
at several points.
And some pretty cool tunes.
Oh my goodness! And it's not legal what we're doing.
No,
I mean,
it ain't.
This is copyright infringement all over the place.
All over the place.
Now
at least once.
We're going to try to clean it up a little bit.
Just a tad.
But understand that this is our first attempt ever. And we, honestly, I don't know that Root had listened to a podcast at this point.
No, I hadn't.
Alex only listens to podcasts about selling and design.
And existential existence.
Yeah, a whole lot of like,
yeah, that kind
that's
of
pretty
thing.
much all of Alex's podcast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is what he's doing somewhere now. But I hope you enjoy this. We've listened to it several times.
And we all said, once we had a chance to listen to it after the recording, that the content is gold. The quality isn't so much.
In hindsight, we've done better.
We have.
It's still not horrible.
It's not bad.
Because it's raw, it's genuine, and it's three guys sitting together in a kitchen drinking bourbon and talking about shit.
That's
the essence of our show.
That's it, exactly.
And if you don't like that, you don't like our show. But if you like it, stay tuned, folks. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be awesome.
Woo. I need a hat. That's not a.
It's a hat.
That looks like a petri dish of hats.
This is my 912 project hat.
Well, of course it is. I have a 911, but I just didn't think it was going to be quite sufficient.
See, that's why I got 912.
All right.
You're listening to Slightly Uncomfortable. Are you ready?
And silence befalls.
That's right. All right, cheers. Let's do a three-part cheers.
Cheers.
It does not have a brisk nose at all.
And what is it?
Heaven Hill 6.
Heaven Hill 6.
Right there.
I've always been a fan of the design of that label.
What's that?
I've always been a fan of the design of that label, and I never really understood it. This was one of Dad's go-tos before he went dry.
That's a shame.
So
when Joy left Mudville is what we're talking
pretty
about.
Pretty much. But what I didn't know was I told you about my grandfather with lung cancer.
Yeah.
I told you, so I'll just tell everybody since it's probably going out now. My grandfather was dying of lung cancer in '76, and we would go up there, and in his last months, he couldn't go anywhere. He was kind of trapped there in the house, and so we would go up there to get to allow my grandmother time to get out of the house. So we were up there once, twice a week, easily. On the weekends, we would stay up there. Well, one particular weekend, we went up there, and it was my dad and myself and Papa there at the house, and the ladies went out, and my dad asked Papa, what do you want to do? Anything you want to do. And Papa said he'd like a hot toddy. So Dad said, got it. And he went out and he got the white label, the Bond. And, they did their hot toddy thing. I was 9. so I wasn't drinking the hard stuff yet.
Yeah, late
Not-
bloomers.
Yeah.
We don't judge here.
Yeah.
This is not.
Well, mostly because Papa said no. I've been drinking Shine out of a mason jar since 6.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. All right. Interesting thing about Heaven Hill. Do you know where Heaven Hill's name comes from?
I think so.
The founder of the distillery his last name was actually Heaven Hill.
No, that I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I thought it was just some weird.
I thought it was geographic.
Right. No, it actually was that there's a family in Bardstown named Heaven Hill.
Oh wow.
But it was I think there was a change in spelling at some point. But that's actually where the name of that distillery comes from. And I'm a huge fan of what they do. I love Old Fitz.
Mm-hmm. I like Old Fitz. It's a little bit sweet.
Yeah, and I get a little sweetness from this.
It's a different sweet.
But this has a very, what's the best way to put it? Almost a non-finish finish. Mm-hmm. You don't get a burn anywhere on this.
The first hit.
Right. Well, that's any bourbon.
Right. Well, it should be.
Yeah.
There's some crap bourbons out there that you get the smoke and that's it.
That's true. But I prefer the Evan Williams brand over the Heaven Hill brand in general. I think the black label is 4 years old, so it's still pretty young, but that white label is on point. Yeah. Have you had the white label?
Yeah. It is good.
That is on point.
Now, I think I'm seeing the differences in our palate here. I prefer the bite with the flavor elements behind it. I'm getting the sense that you like the flavor elements with a bite behind it.
Yeah, I like flavor first. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that you have a high rye flavor. Right. So you're going to like the Elijah Craig's, you're going to like the Four Roses,
yeah.
You're going to like the Bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Four Roses and Bullets are the highest non-rye bourbons. And when I say that, they're still rye based, mm-hmm. but they're still a bourbon.
There's got enough corn in it to make a bourbon.
Right. So that Four Roses small batch is going to be right in your flavor palette.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the Bullet barrel proof right there in your flavor palette. And not that I like Bullet. I don't like Four Roses. Yeah. It's too thick. It lays too heavy on the tongue. Yeah. It's almost like
it's got a coat.
Yes. It's almost like I don't know, a cough syrup. How it kind of coats your tongue. I don't want thick tongue at the end of a sip of bourbon.
Right.
Now, this, to me, is very clean, very, very easy, but it doesn't have any burn anywhere. I don't taste a bite in it. Now, you're drinking it neat.
Yeah, and that's why I drink it neat.
All right, try that one next to yours and see which one you like the best.
Man, that rock kills it. I mean, it not in a bad way.
Yeah.
But it certainly kills that
bite.
Initial bite.
And see, that's what I do with, and I tell people when they're drinking bourbon, is even if you don't want rocks, that's cool. Just put a splash of water in it. Just take a straw and put that much water and just let it bloom. Proof it down just a tad. You know, it'll turn it from 90 to 85, whatever the case may be. But it proofs it down and makes it smooth. And if you like that bite, don't do it.
Yeah.
But my thing of it is, if I were going to drink that neat, I'm going to put it in the freezer for about 2 hours beforehand. I like my bourbon cold. What about you?
I tend to like it cold, although a really good bourbon, neat, great.
Right.
But the one thing I like about ice is actually the development as it melts. So start
the transition.
Out with the cold, you get that full on, but it's got that cold to it, and then as the ice melts, getting a little bit of liquid into it.
I agree. And I tell anybody, when you put ice in bourbon, you're on the clock. Mm-hmm. So if you love the way it tastes initially, go and finish that son of a bitch off. Right. Because it's going to evolve.
Right.
And if you're using regular cubes, you're on a very short clock.
Yeah.
But it's okay though too, because it may evolve into something else you like too. Just it's like a cigar in that sense, right?
Oh, shut your whore mouth about cigars.
Well, but
I've got a bunch of Cubans in there. Did I tell you I got more Cubans?
You didn't. Yeah. But in the sense of it developing over the course of the
right. It absolutely evolves and it changes. Now in that it's not going to, other than your palate evolving.
Yeah, and it does.
Yes.
I think anything 90 and higher, the the more you drink of it, the deader your palate's going to
That's
be.
just called intoxication.
So for
That?
so honestly, I think that the proof is a misnomer or misleading on the flavor of the bourbon, because I've got some damn benchmark over there that lights my ass on fire at 80 proof. I can't stand that shit. It's too damn hot. It has no balance. It has nothing positive other than fire.
What? It's 6 months old.
And it's 8. It's 3. It's 3 years old.
Like I said.
Yeah. But I've had that Weller 107 that we had. Yeah, it had a bite.
Yeah.
But man, it was pretty at the end.
Yeah.
So I think my dad believes the hotter the bourbon is because of the proof. And I've had Knob Creek 120. That is some of the smoothest shit I've ever put in my mouth. I think it's beautiful.
It's a very well done.
And I've had a 90 proof that would just burn your ass up. So I think it just depends on the recipe and how it's aged.
Yep.
Yeah. So what we're drinking tonight is
We've already talked about that. It's already on the report.
Shut your whore mouth.
Yes, sir.
Is provided by Root, and
Yes.
it is Heaven Hill
6-year-old.
green label.
It is a fantastic, low cost bourbon.
Yes, very reasonably priced.
Picked it up this week, about $13 a bottle, and serves the purpose quite well.
Well, and compared to a lot of the stuff on the market, it's 6 months old. You know, a lot of the stuff that's $70-$80, it's 6 months old.
Yeah.
6 years for $14.
Yeah.
Root's drinking his neat because he thinks
Because I'm a real man. That's why.
Yeah, we'll delve into that later in later episodes. Alex, you've used my real name 3 times. Give me one. Alex is drinking his with an ice cube, as am I. So let's start off by introducing ourselves. You go first.
I'm Root.
I'm Alex.
I'm just James.
He has no idea who he is.
I'm a little amazed by Alex's voice. I am Alex. Evidently, he thinks this is Love Line.
He just got off his shift for the 1-900 line.
Jesus, I'm in full candy corn after his introduction.
Good evening, Seattle.
Shoot! Did it just get hot in here? Is it son of a bitch?
Okay. I'll be sitting here for a while.
Yeah.
Let things calm down.
I am as moist as a snack cake.
And now for some Barry White.
That voice can't do very white. It can't.
Don't challenge it.
One of our voices maybe, but not the Alex voice.
I didn't say I was Barry White.
Okay.
I just mean
You're more like Venus Flytrap
Yeah,
from
yeah.
WPRP in Cincinnati.
exactly.
All right, so today's podcast, sadly enough, is going to be on communication.
Something that we obviously fail at.
Yeah, we're not good at all about it. But we're going to preface this by saying it's going to be about how communication has evolved in the 50, 40 plus years that we've all been around. So how about we start with how communication was when we were kiddos. Now, we don't want to get into too much of the sordid back history of all three of us, especially Root. But how
Statute of limitations.
Yeah. So, how was your early communication? Starting with.
Well, you mean family? With family or just?
I'm
general?
sorry, I was told there wouldn't be any questions.
Yeah. Well, you need to come prepared.
Well, yeah. As a child, be it in school, be it at church, be it at home, how was your communication skills developed? Or stunted, for that matter?
Stunted would be a good term. I know as we progress in these episodes, this will come as shock.
I thought there would just be one.
There may well be.
Okay.
Especially after this.
I'm going to hit stop right now. So
Alex is out. He peaked early with that whole introduction thing, and now I'm working off of Woody.
All that talk about Barry White's just done got him discombobulated.
Woo!
So, as a kid, I was hypersensitive, exceptionally shy,
And this changed when?
You're right. Sure. So growing up as a single child, lone child, But
Only? Is that the word
that's
you're
the
looking
word?
for?
That's the term. Back to the whole
Evidently-
communication thing.
An unmarried child.
An unmarried child. A
Evidently,
black
he was
child.
dating as a child. Where the fuck were you raised?
Eastern Kentucky, dude.
Oh, well, okay.
I thought Alex was in the cult. I didn't know you were.
So, wait for it. So, you know, as an only child, and then, but having a large extended family, whenever we would go visit family, large families are very dynamic, I guess, with how they treat each other. And at the time, I would have, you know, a week being the only child, going to school, doing the stuff that small family does. Then on the weekends, I'm introduced to hell, where everybody's picking on each other. Everybody's having a big time. It took me 10, 15 years to get to the point to where my initial philosophy came to be, which is I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me. You know.
And the one that you still currently possess.
Oh, it's bloomed a bit.
Yeah, whoa, there's been blooming.
So you know, and I know growing up with the kids in the class and you know in the neighborhood and all that, a lot of my peers at the time had those large families, had brothers and sisters, so they were picked on all the time, and they had more of an opportunity to evolve
Quicker.
that personality than
Quicker.
I did.
Yeah.
So, how did I communicate in school, in any, you know, in social settings? I just didn't. I had stuttering problems. I was shy because expecting that stutter. When my worst fear in elementary school and early middle, junior high school, as we called it back in the day, the one-room schoolhouse with the coal stove. Yes,
Yeah, he's not that old.
He's saying that because we're the same age.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Actually, he's a little bit older.
Weeks. So yeah, my biggest fear was that book report, where
You had to stand up and
Root, come to the front of the class and tell us about, you know, whatever.
Moby Dick.
Yeah, whatever the book du jour is.
Yeah.
And
It's Eastern Kentucky. There's just one book.
very short but powerful.
C-tip run.
So you know, it would take me beans. It was beans for dinner.
Excuse me. I made some homemade chili and that just happened.
It would take me 10, 15 minutes to get started. And because kids being what kids are, that just made things worse, and it just kind of progressed. By the time I got into high school, though, I'd already kind of developed this thing where I don't share a bed with you. You're not genetics.
I wasn't asking at all. This seems like this has gotten in a weird spot.
Yeah, probably gone along
It was the Barry White talk.
We're going to go ahead and cut Root off from the Heaven Hill
But
bourbon.
yeah, for me, communication evolved over time. It started out with me being a shy little boy.
So would you say that it evolved due to necessity? You communicate because you have to,
No.
or because you want to?
Neither. I think the way that I communicate evolved just through experience.
Gotcha.
And finally growing to a place where I knew who I was, and didn't really give a shit what anybody else thought.
Calling it some self-assurance.
Yeah. And I really think growing up as a single child, and
Still creepy.
and then being thrown into this familial atmosphere where I did share all this genetic background with people.
He's sharing genetic stuff.
And I did care what they think, but then they're still picking on me, and it just took me a while to process that.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, when you at some point you have to seek your level. Are you going to be the picked on?
Yeah.
Are you going to be the picker?
Yep.
Or are you going to be the one that nobody wants to pick on because they don't know what
And
you're capable of?
When I was in middle school, I spent a lot of time at home because I was busting people's ass.
Yeah.
And
Fairly
you know, and it is common for boys of that age because we're feeling things we ain't felt before. And
Oh, now he's talking about
And here we
pubic hair.
go.
He's talking about pubic hair. It all goes back to pubic hair.
so yeah, you know, it took me a while to come around. But rumor has it that I communicate very effectively now.
Oh, those are misfounded. Okay, Alex, what do you think about your basis in communication?
In less than the 3 hours that I just took.
Well, because it was it seemed more than we wanted, but we'll go with it.
So communication for when I was growing up was largely with the idea of kind of like all your communication is gotta be fit into a pretty straight and narrow for what's acceptable. Otherwise, don't talk about it. Otherwise, don't. You shouldn't be saying something that you know you're not supposed to be doing, and everything you think you might want to do, you're not supposed to be doing it. So, that that inability to communicate who you actually are, what you're actually feeling, not there.
So you were supposed to talk about the right things in the right way.
Yeah.
And anything contrary to that was not spoken about.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty particular to kind of my background, but it's not just like, I think a lot of people have that, and particularly I think it's something that's becoming less and less in our kids' generation.
Thank God.
Right? That we're much more ready to let them be themselves and express how they feel.
Both good and bad.
But both good and bad,
Yeah.
Absolutely, because whatever they're, and honestly, this is like so taking it forward to modern or current.
We're not ready for that.
We're not.
We're not ready. I haven't had my turn.
I thought we were talking.
No, it's about turns.
Okay.
Kind of sounds like it's about James, but it may be about turn.
We already knew that.
But I was told that we'd be allowed to take turns.
All right, so yeah.
Let me get the duct tape out for Alex. Move right along.
Oh, now Root all of a sudden is concerned about longevity. There was a birthmark mentioned evidently in his.
Oh, please continue.
I'm good. I'm only allowed to say the things that I'm supposed to say when I'm supposed to say them.
Funny how that comes back around, isn't it? Wow. I'm convicted.
All right, so I guess it's my turn.
God help.
So I was not a single child. I was an only child. That's the way real people talk about it.
Here in Capital City.
I was. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad worked up to 3 jobs at a time. And when Dad made it home for dinner, it was simply I spoke when I was spoken to. Otherwise, because Dad was tired, I didn't realize that at the time. I just thought he was grumpy. But he was tired. He didn't want to put up with any bullshit. He didn't really care about the details of the day, because his day was filled with, I'm going to work, I'm going to eat, I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to work, I'm going to come home. And I did not realize that until I got older. But that made me somewhat of a mama's boy, because when Daddy would come home, I reverted. My dad worked with his hands. I have grown up not to work with my hands at all. I cannot fix, I can't even do anything with my hands virtually. And it was because that Dad was so tired, and the communication broke down when he tried to show me something. He would get frustrated, and I would revert back. I would just go back to what was easy, right? And so, yeah, I was pretty much speak when spoken to. I was very shy. I was very introverted until I was about 13, 14 years old. I mean, I didn't get picked on in school because I was one of the bigger kids. But I did get into a whole lot of fights. I was in my senior year of high school. They threatened to expel me because of throwing a file cabinet at the teacher. I didn't do that, but we'll get into that later episode. So, I mean, yeah, there was some anger management problems. So we'll talk about that later in a later episode. But so I think it's safe to say that all 3 of us, given our diverse, different backgrounds, still ended up kind of in the same way. It was repression is what Alex said, and it was that. Yeah, you're not in an environment where you can actually say what you're thinking. You're not in an environment that is welcomed.
Well,
He's not using sentences now.
Yeah, I'm trying to formulate a thought, and that takes a minute.
I'm glad we can be part of this process.
I mean, I think what I hear in that too, though, is like that's part of our generation. Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's the idea that even wouldn't be the case, right? That being free to communicate how you're feeling, what you're thinking, things like that, when you're thinking and feeling them. Not to say that it needs to be wide open, but even the idea that would be possible, especially for a kid, just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And like it is now.
Right. We weren't the Brady Bunch, for God's sake.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
In this world,
Thank God, because that dad was fucked up.
they were all pretty.
I'm just saying.
But
The hair alone bothered me. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Root. Go ahead.
and
He got a sentence. Let's let him have it.
maybe in this world we hear the parents and the child psych people and everything talk about setting boundaries. And in the world that I grew up in, and I suspect how you guys grew up, the boundaries were set, but they moved. You never really knew.
They were predicated on the mood of the alpha.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And so, yeah. I mean,
Whether that alpha was your mom, your dad, a
Yep.
sibling, whatever, it was
God.
predicated on the God.
Yeah.
Or the Lord God Almighty.
Yeah. Because I mean, I didn't quite. Well, I didn't grow up in the same kind of environment that Alex did.
Right.
But
Nor did I.
the church was still part of that discussion.
You can't be in the Bible Belt
Right.
and not have it influence somehow.
So God help you if you step across one of those lines. But because
He never helped me. Not one damn time. But that sadistic bastard helped me.
I know one time in particular he did.
Radio edit.
Those boundaries tended, at least for me, they tended to move mostly because of the mood of the parents. You know, if they came in for dinner and everybody's in a good mood, it was
A good night.
perfectly okay for Root to chime in with some snark.
He just used himself in third person, just so you know, because it gets confusing at this point.
So, but
Is that James talking about Root? Is that Root talking about Root?
and we get that a lot. If
No,
one of the
because
parents
Alex
came
did.
in, if one of those parents came in and they're pissed, and I come in with the same kind of snark, it's Katie bar the door. And so, and with the on the religious side of things, sometimes you could get away with saying Jesus in frustration, and sometimes you say that and you get shit thrown at you.
In my house, I could not say the word fart. That was a cuss word.
It wasn't mine too.
All right. Also, stupid or shut up.
Oh, stupid and shut up are common vernacular.
But no, I couldn't say any
Shut
of
up
those.
wasn't allowed.
My mother told me in order to speak of flatulence, I had to say that I had sat on a frog.
Really?
What?
Yes, sat on a frog, which it seemed
Like a
both.
princess?
It seemed no, that was a different type of kiss. But I never really understood. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've never actually sat on a frog.
Radio edit.
Well,
But-
you just you sit on a pea, you kiss a frog. I figured you just put the two together.
Seems like a literary reference I don't get. But so I was aware, even though my mom and my dad both were very keen on, this is what we say. You need to do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah.
And I learned that from a very early age. My mom could cuss a blue streak, but yet she wouldn't say the word fart.
Yeah.
So I was a bit confused as a child and as an adult. So I think it suffices to say is that the illustrations we have of communication as a child has definitely influenced us.
Absolutely.
Whether it be that, yes, that's the way we want to continue to communicate, or no, that made me feel like shit. I didn't enjoy that. That's not fair. And I want to create a home that is different than that.
Yeah, I would, in my particular case, I didn't think it was fair at the time. Looking back on it, and, the wife and I had no kids, but we've been kind of second parents to nieces and nephews along the way. It has given me some insight and made me more aware of what these kids are potentially thinking as we are correcting them. And why am I correcting them exactly?
Right.
And do they understand that?
Right.
You know, that if I wouldn't change anything about how I was raised, because if I did that, I wouldn't be who I am.
Well,
I'm pretty damn happy with
I think
mine.
Alex and I would probably change a couple of things
About how I was raised.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not about how we were.
No, not how we were, but Roots, honestly, scary.
Yes,
you'll
I am.
find that out in more episodes.
Probably here in the next 10 minutes.
So, all right. So we've covered our background. Yes. Now let's talk about communication in present day.
Don't wanna lock me up inside lithium. Don't wanna forget how it feels without lithium. I wanna stay in love with my soul. Oh, but God, I wanna let it go.
Communication in present day. I'm gonna need you all to hush your warm mouth.
Hey, I've got the microphone. I'm commentating.
No, you don't. Should we put it here?
I don't ever take money for it.
What? Money? Oh. So what we're hearing is Alex is just a flat slut, which I respect.
Yes, yes.
It's much like my stuff. So
Yeah.
I thought about doing Wheeler Walker, but I think it's a little premature. Have y'all heard of Wheeler Walker?
I think so.
Well, let's let's do a.
American by birth and Southern by the grace of God means that everything I do it right. New York and California, you can go and have your fun, but down here I got a list of what I like.
Ready?
Eating tater tots and pussy, sucking Mountain Dew and tip. Kick my grandma in his nutsack, then I suck my boss's dick. Fuck my cousin in her asshole before I finished on her tits. Then I shoot my neighbor's cat, I love that redneck shit.
I have heard or
It's not over.
You can make your jokes at us and giggle all you want, but my friends and me, man, we don't give a lick. If you can read this, then the bitch fell off. That's a sticker on a bike, sure, but it's also a tattoo inked on my dick. Taking pictures of my mama while she's trying to take a shit. Then I'm throwing rocks at cripples and I laugh when they get hit. Pull my picker out at Walmart, then I pop my sister's zip. Checking off my neighbor's dog, I love that redneck shit.
He takes his dick out of Walmart. Who hasn't thought about doing that?
Oh, these poor guys. They had never heard of David Allen Coe.
Oh, I've heard that one. No,
Not in his younger days, apparently.
this guy's pretty good.
People think we're crazy, man, they think we're all insane. Take a visit and I swear you'll never leave. You can stay at grandma's house, she'll cook you up some country ham, and after dinner you can nibble on her beef. Meet a biddy at the swap meet, then I fuck her for a bit. Shove a dildo up my asshole just to see if it can fit. Buy a bunch of nudie magazines, the ones that show the clip. Then I tell my brother's butt I love that redneck shit.
What makes that redneck?
It's a little bit gay.
I'm pretty sure most of San Francisco would be scandalized.
All right, we're going to play one more, and then I'm going to get to the group that I actually chose for this. This is really a sweet song.
Who is sing that?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's from Lexington.
Girl, you say that it's over, it's time for goodbye. But you were never the one that I had in mind. No, I only got close because honestly, I won't climb all the way up your family tree. Cause if I had my others. I'd fuck both your brothers. Then I'd grab your sister, take her out back, and fist her. Go down on your mama, start a whole lot of drama. Save your dad for last, so I can eat out his ass. Don't mean to upset you, don't mean to offend. Can you talk to your family and see if they're in? All the dinners and the parties, I always felt they liked me. I want to nail everyone into your family tree.
It's just stuff.
Don't need your loving, rather suck off all your cousins. Then I grab your auntie, finger fucker through her panties. Then I grab Uncle Andy, reach around, give
he's
him
coming
a
out.
handy. Give your grandpa a call, so I can tickle his balls.
Here's the bridge. Oh, yeah. Good wait for this one.
Need a little loving, and I know it's a sin.
Really?
Girl, you're real special, I'd rather be with your kin. I think your sister likes me, she smiles at me, then she goes down.
Just a little loop. Little slide guitar.
Actually, that was Steve.
All right, so that is Wheeler Walker, who is best friends with Tyler Childers, Sturgill Simpson, and Chris Stapleton.
Oh, they're tight.
And he actually performed with them at, I think it was either the Yum or Freedom Hall.
Yeah.
Because they're all Kentucky boys. And they're all, I think Wheeler's a little bit older than the rest, but they're all Kentucky boys.
Yeah.
And Wheeler is a nut. He was a stand-up comic for years, and he was also a wannabe musician. He couldn't make it either way.
Yeah.
So he combined the two.
And there we go.
Evidently, he's also a latent bisexual.
And,
Just saying.
yeah.
And
It's a pan.
I'm thinking pan is
Pan,
more
it feels good. He's a trisexual. Let's just try it.
It's
See if
just
you like it.
right. Yeah, that's it.
That's the thing to use on the podcast right there.
Yeah. I think we got some bumper music.
All right, so
Maybe.
all right, so let me find the word. Hang on. So we had talked about Whiskey Myers,
Yes.
which I think Whiskey Myers is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, he is.
But I have found another group
Yeah.
that is called Six Market Boulevard. And they're in that same vein as Southern rock, new country type stuff. And this is their song called Say It. Really guitar heavy. Yes, Lord.
Say you miss me, say you miss me, darling. Say that there is nothing in this world that I could do wrong. And say you need me, honey. It ain't about the money, it's about how we can get along. 'Cause I've been spinning my wheels wondering how I can do things right. And I've been out here on this highway for
Yeah. This kind of thing, I like it. First, I like it. But I've got a bone to pick with the mixer. Because the tenor of that voice, it's the timbre really of the voice.
Timbre,
Yes.
as in ring.
Of a sort.
Okay.
The tone, the sense.
The tone quality.
Yeah, the tone quality of the voice is very similar to that lead guitar. So when the singer's kicking and then the lead tries to come in and add flavor, they're in that same tonal range and they run each other down.
Interesting.
If I'm mixing that, because I'm the professional audio engineer over here.
Time will tell. I'm just saying.
I think I might turn the gain down on that lead just a little bit, because that's going to deaden that peak and let that vocalist sing.
And I don't know if these guys are just a garage band that has gotten some notoriety, or if they are somebody that's playing festivals, or if they're actually recording artists. I don't know.
Right.
But I like the way they wrote their songs, and I like their swagger in the different elements of their songs. Because not every song sounds alike, which is one of my big pet peeves. When I first heard, what was the name of it? Creed.
Yeah.
Back in the day. I'm sorry, you all don't remember Creed. It was the 90s. Y'all are too fucking young. But Creed was a very bad band in the 90s that every song sounded alike.
Very much cookie cutter.
Every song did. Nickelback did that for a while.
They were
Nickelback.
the Nickelback.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thou shalt not mention those people.
They're Canadian. We don't listen to them.
Damn right.
They had a song about a
The
stripper.
one and only band to ever leave Canada worth listening to at all was who?
The Who? I don't know who. Do you know who it was?
Rush!
Neil Young.
With a side of Neil Young, I'll give you that.
Rush. I was never a Rush fan. You know why? Because I didn't do that much drugs.
I'm out of here.
I did not do that. I didn't do drugs.
How can you not love
All right,
Rush?
Rush.
Drugs, but although his.
It's
honestly,
Russian. You have to have done drugs. You did drugs, Root. You did drugs.
Guilty as charged.
Exactly.
But
I was a good church boy then.
Because of Pink Floyd, not Rush.
I was going to say that.
It was
if
the
you're
British
gonna,
influence.
if you're going to listen to Floyd, Rush,
No,
The
Rush.
Grateful Dead,
No, not
Led Zeppelin,
No,
then
no,
you
no,
have to have done drugs.
No.
Are you kidding?
Yes.
Led Zeppelin is one of the best blues bands ever.
Absolutely. Hands down, absolutely. But, and
I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to break because I need ice.
I take great exception to some of those bands.
Not just exception, but great exception.
Yes, not just mild exception. No,
Please make a note of the great exception.
This is a great exception, because if you want to talk about bands that are maybe improved, I guess the experience is improved by some kind of drug use. I don't know where you get Grateful Dead in there, because they're
Really? Have you been to a Dead?
Yes, I have.
All right, and you were stoned.
No, I
when
wasn't.
you went.
I was trash drunk.
Drinking works with them.
Yeah. But when you're listening to a very melodic, lyrical band, you don't need the extra help to enjoy the show. Now, if you go to an Alan Parsons Project show,
They don't. They're not around anymore, by the way.
Yeah, but they were incredible when they were around. And
Did they sing?
They sing everything, and they sing it well.
Oh, poor shit. All right, you go right ahead with your rant about Alan Parsons. I'm going to pull up their menu here.
Go ahead.
And I guarantee you, no one has ever remembered one song they've ever said that was of value.
That they said? They probably didn't
Sing!
They
Sing!
sang it. They
All
played
right,
it.
please continue with your rant so I can look shit
And
up.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Oh my God.
I like England Dan and John Ford Cole. The man's first name was England. Mad props.
That right there is what James appreciates.
That's right.
He enjoys names.
All right, so this is the number one hit from the Alan Parsons Project. I'm sorry, I just nodded off. And here's another one. Now, this is not a bad song. This is not bad. Where do we go from
That's
here?
late. This is late. Emerson, Lake and Palmer's no.
All right, no. You said Alan Parsons Project.
Yeah, I did. But I'm putting Emerson, Lake and
That's
Palmer.
like the Alex Project.
Progressive rock.
It's not progressive.
It is.
It's stoner shit.
No. This is music.
Now play Limelight and tell me how that's done.
Limelight?
Yes, Limelight by Rush. Or even Red Barchetta.
What?
Red Barchetta.
That's not even a real word.
He'll,
Right,
he'll-
right.
Red
It's
Barch?
a car.
but he'll recognize Limelight.
Yeah, he will.
All right, I'm gonna bring up Rush because again we're talking about drug music.
No, we're talking about classic music.
Rush. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got. Their number one hit was Tom Sawyer, which I love Tom Sawyer.
See?
All right,
Scroll down that list. You'll
Live
see
Limelight.
Limelight. Of course, you missed the first two parts.
It's iTunes.
It's just rock.
It's too fucking much instruments.
Oh, well, that was true. Because they were all
Alex likes it. Oh, it's just too much guitar. Oh, come on.
It's all right. All right, this is what I need out of a song. All right,
Like it's like Pearl. That's just too much fiddle.
this is what I need out of a song.
We don't need that stinking cello.
I need some sort of interlude. Is that the right word? Prelude? Quaalude?
Just go back to
I'm
bridge.
sorry, let's talk about Rush. I need a quaalude to listen to this shit. I need some sort of preface to open up
That
the
was
song.
it.
No, that was too long. I need a song to last about 3 minutes. I need a Conway Twitty link is what I need.
So I guess YYZ is right out for you.
YYZ, let's see. I'm out! I'm out! Who starts a fucking song with that?
triangle.
Hey, look, I got a triangle!
That is the genius of Neil.
No, that is the horse shit of the music you like!